oh God, they are judging me, or they will not like me, they will not love me. So all those judgments had fallen off. How could you do that? How could this person be like that? Is it not normal to be this way?
It's funny, I'm struggling because in India it's like this and that, and I know that you are doing it from a playful place.
When she realized that, she said, so what? This is me. This is me. Because normalcy is always changing. What is normal for somebody could be completely abnormal for someone else.
Everybody on Instagram, on Facebook, all the healing programs are about accept. Hello everybody and welcome to the podcast Living Consciously. I'm Mihaela Nadella Periano, and together with Rajesh Ramani, we are going to continue to speak about how to live consciously, and this time this episode is on acceptance. We would like to uncover together what is acceptance all about? It is a buzzword. Everybody talks about acceptance. What are the myths about acceptance? Right? Because everybody on Instagram, on Facebook, all the healing programs are about accept. So, Rajesh, what is it and what are the myths about it?
You are so right, because every other post in whatever spiritual form, everyone is talking about acceptance. And if you watch carefully, most people would use acceptance in I would call it like a neo-psychology way. That is like, you accept life and then life will change for you in a very good way. Life will bring a lot of good things to you if you accept life. So
that is not acceptance.
Acceptance.
That is sort of negotiating.
Exactly.
It's like, you are my parent, I don't like you. I saw on Instagram that I have to accept you. And I hope that if I say I accept you, Rajesh, somebody will reward me.
Or you will somehow change. That is, I will somehow change in that case.
That you will change.
Yes.
If I accept you,
Yes.
then you will change.
Yes.
So it's acceptance and expectation.
Exactly. So either I accept life so that life will change and become good for me, or I accept the other person so that they will recognize that I've accepted them as they are, and hence will become more likable for me. So there is an agenda behind acceptance. If you watch many of the posts or many of the narrative around it. So that is where we have to start with the myths of acceptance, because we'll start with what acceptance is not.
Okay. What?
Acceptance is not like a conscious statement that we make. Let me take a very simple example. Imagine I don't like my nose. And so every morning I stand in front of my mirror and then I say like, oh, I like my nose, I like my nose, I like my nose, I accept my nose, I accept my nose, I accept my nose. That is not acceptance. What is acceptance?
That is NLP.
That is something where we are...
Fake it until you make it.
Yes, that is something where we are having a positive idea about it or
affirmation.
Something. This could be a pathway to acceptance. But acceptance is on the day that I forget to think about my nose because it is already part of my life.
Oh my God.
Yes.
So you don't have any opinions about it?
Yes. See, when you accepted my nose, I don't specially look at my nose. Do we say every day look at our eyes and ears and say, I accept you as you are? We don't. It merges and becomes part of us. When that happens naturally at some stage, I am not in conflict with my nose. Till then, I was in conflict with my nose, or I had a stronger judgment I didn't like, or something was off with my nose. And the day that conflict or the resistance that ceases, the nose becomes part of the whole.
But Raj, okay, it's a brilliant example that you are giving because it's relatable. I mean, I'm sure that for all the people watching, we all have parts of our body that we hate, right? So then this is a very relatable example that you gave. Now, What I don't know is, okay, I hate my nose, right? I don't like it. I will be tempted, and this is how I'm doing it when with parts of me that I don't like. I love you. What can I do for you? How can I support you? I don't feel it in the body. I don't feel like, it's not a relief. But it's a step towards acceptance. You are saying that this is not the right step.
No, I'm not saying it is not the right step. I'm
Okay.
saying that act of saying I love you to the nose is not acceptance.
Is not accept. What it is an affirmation.
It is an affirmation.
Is it a good step towards acceptance?
Yes. See, instead of saying every day looking at the nose like I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, you start saying I love you, or I like you, I like you. But at some stage, you also know, as much as the first statement was a fake, like that is a misconception, the second statement is also that. But then at least it's better than the first one. So that's why I say these are all pathways. You can be in that path, like, actively, consciously, bringing a positive attitude towards that part. But actual acceptance itself is when the object or the resistance falls off.
And how does it fall off?
Oh, it falls off. It falls off when
How?
there is an acknowledgement of the fact as such. And when we see, there is no problem with the nose as such. There is a problem with the perception around the nose.
Okay. And how do you get rid of the perception?
Acceptance is when you recognize the resistance, the struggle, the conflict around something, be it a physical thing like a nose, or a quality like an emotion, or a value system, or a behavioral pattern, or a thought process that is running in our head. So whatever it is, there is something there. Like the nose is there, there is something there. But then there is a judgment about it. Either it should not be this way or it should not be there at all. So this judgment is causing us more suffering than the object that is there, whatever the quality that is there. So this is where acceptance is, when you recognize the conflict and how much it is eating up, how much it is causing us the struggle with life and oneself. When you recognize that through awareness, the burden of that conflict is the main problem. When that falls off, there is a relief in itself, because it doesn't mean the nose changes tomorrow. It doesn't mean. And once there is acceptance that happens, then you are open to have a choice in a free manner. So if somebody has a nose which is like completely out of shape, and then, maybe they are ridiculed by others, or it is really uncomfortable. But then as long as they are fighting with that, what they have, they are very sensitive around it. So anybody who's looking at their nose and then they say like, so you are judging me based on my nose. Maybe the other person is not judging, but they are highly sensitive around that part of our being. So this causes more conflicts, this causes more suffering, this causes more struggle. Once there is an acceptance around that nose, you can go for a surgery if you want. I'm not saying you should have it as it is. I'm only saying when the conflict dies down, you have more free energy to flow with it. I've seen people with, facial disfigurations in a physical sense. And, it's jarring for a new person to come and see them. And then it's like, you can't take your eyes off it kind of situation. Yeah, I'll give you a real example around this. One of my clients that I used to know many, many years ago, nearly 20 years back, and she had this skin disease, where in patches the skin will be discolored. And so she got it like in her 20s, and that disease in her 20s or so, 20s or 30s, by the time she was married and had a child. And when she started having this thing, her husband moved away from her, and then she was going through a lot of shame in the external world, and she had to cover her face, or she was constantly anxious that people are watching her and people are judging her, and then she has to compensate for it or she has to explain it away. So all of this, and this was creating enormous tension between in her family, within herself and her husband, and the whole thing. Even she reduced her engagement with the world as such because she was ashamed. And she was going through one of our retreats that we were running at that time, and then during the retreat, through her meditations and contemplations, she discovered whatever that disease is causing her physically is very minimal compared to the psychological suffering that she's going through. And she was so tired of that whole struggle. And at one point she recognized, like, I'm so tired. I'm so tired of being ashamed. I'm so tired of hiding my face. I'm so tired of blaming myself. I'm so tired of asking fundamental questions around why me and all of that. I'm tired of fighting my husband. When she realized that, she said, so what? This is me. This is me. It is not from a place of anger. This is from a place of like, this is me. That's all. When she got into that place, it was such a pleasant place for her that all this tension, the struggle that she was holding in her body left her in that moment. And when that left her in that moment beautifully, something started happening. She started smiling automatically. She started smiling. She started feeling lighter in her body. And over the next weeks and things, her behavior changed. So she was not super conscious about it. And when people were staring at her, she would see it like, yeah, they're looking at me because I have something different. So it was only to that extent they are looking at me because it's new for them and I'm different. It was not like, oh God, they are judging me or they will not like me, they will not love me. So all those judgments had fallen off. Mm-hmm. So what it created for others around her was, because she was not holding that self-judgment and shame or whatever emotion, whoever saw her this and then went past it.
Okay.
So much easily.
So what are then the consequences of non-acceptance?
It's the biggest thing is struggle. And the struggle doesn't contain within ourselves. The struggle extends. Sometimes here we are speaking about self-acceptance, like a part of ourselves. But also this translates into a non-acceptance or resistance of life around us and other people. Mm-hmm. So then, we think everyone is out there to judge us. So when we fight ourselves, we fight the world around us. So we fight people who are like that or people who are not like that. And then so the conflict extends and extends and extends. Then the familiar thing happens, which is we isolate ourselves. We feel I'm not good enough. We feel I'm lesser. Or we feel the other person is not good enough. So acceptance it brings us greater grounding and greater restfulness.
And inner peace, I would say.
Hugely,
I mean, the
inner
difference
peace.
between acceptance and non-acceptance is inner peace or inner war.
Beautiful.
I would...
Exactly.
Yeah?
You put it right. So, see, if you see, most people are constantly in a war. Their mind is going through
But this is
something.
not us, like the human nature?
Oh, yes, we are. And I'm saying...
That's the mind, right?
It is the
human
mind. But just because it is the mind, we don't have to suffer through it.
No, but it's just accepting that this is the mind. This is
yes.
why I was tempted to use an inclusive language, like we are all like this.
Oh, yes, correct.
In certain percentages, like
correct.
Some of us are have an inner war, others, it's the inner war is with some peace inside, but that's the nature of the mind.
It is the nature of the mind. Mm-hmm. But what you are coming up with is a much profound and much deeper state of seeing things, because not everyone can immediately see like, okay, it's the mind that is working. What most of us see, it's like my mind that is working. My mind is this way,
But
and
I
I am
also had
suffering.
this tendency before working with you. I thought that it's only me.
Yes,
And that's, that's separation.
yes. So at some point, your awareness opened up enough to embrace that bigger perception and the inclusive perception, as you call it. So at some point, your awareness expanded into that space. Because it expanded into that space, you could have a different perception around it. But when our perception is not expanded, we usually say, it's my problem, and I am going through
And
this.
I'm the only one.
I'm the only one, and I should not be like this. Or we judge others in the same way, like, you should not be like this. So we end up fighting the world. We end up fighting some qualities. For example, I may have a quality of being a pacifist, like, if I don't confront people when, I may have that kind of a quality. The other person may have a confronting quality, like, okay, this is not right, this is not justice, this is how it should be done, so I'm going to question that situation. So when these two people communicate or come together and see each other, there could be a huge resistance because I don't understand the other person's way of handling a situation which is not my way. So I could have a strong dislike or a disagreement with them.
Or let's say probably on an intellectual level you can understand, but you don't relate, you don't know how it is.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we may sometimes even at the intellectual level we may struggle with it because, like, how could you do that? How could this person be like that? Is it not normal to be this way? Because whatever we are and which we like about ourselves, we think that is normal. Because normalcy is always changing. What is normal for somebody could be completely abnormal for someone else.
Yeah. Like with the hugs example.
Like with the hugs that we discussed in one of our episodes.
Yes.
So it could be completely, it is cultural. It is so much individual perception based. It's based on our life experiences. So acceptance comes in not specifically about what they are going through. That is why I say again and again, acceptance is not like I accept the green color of your shirt. I recognize my struggle with the green and I accept that I am fighting within me about green. And when I recognize that fight and I see how useless that fight is because green is just a color, how I recognize that fight, when that fight ends within me, there is acceptance. Often this is the mistake that people make. They think they are accepting what is out there.
Okay. Let me rephrase it a little
Yes.
bit. What you are saying is that normally we tend to associate acceptance with something that is outside us. Right? I accept my husband, I accept my boss, I accept my child, I accept my disease. I accept that
quality and emotion.
Yes, I accept this and that. But basically, what you are saying is that acceptance is I am aware that I am struggling with accepting you. I see my struggle, my internal conflict, and I see how not useful it is. And I let go of it. That's acceptance.
And when I see the uselessness of it, when I see how much it is taking up my attention, energy, and how much it is making me suffer in life, actually, when I see that, when I see the burden of it, the resistance falls off. If I add to it that whatever is happening in the other person, or it is also a flow of life. It is what life has flowed through the other person. It is what, you are a product of your life experiences, including your genes and everything culturally, and everything has gone into you, into creating you. Everything, so many other things has gone into me in creating me. So acceptance as a first level is to see my struggle with it And then the second step right away is to see that you are a product of your life and circumstances as much as I am. So then, what am I actually fighting? I may not completely understand you. I may not completely understand exactly where you are coming from and why you are coming from, because that is impossible. We have to be exactly put into that place,
to understand,
to understand
to really
that.
walk in my shoes, which you cannot, because my shoes might be too tight for you. So
yes, or different. Let me share an example here. I used to have a colleague who worked with me, and she was from Australia. She's a nice person, good person, and she was very friendly. One day we were all sitting there and having a little chat and talking about different stuff, and she was sitting next to me. And she was laughing and she was animated, and every time she was moving, her feet was hitting my foot again and again. Not in a bad way, but in a way that is like she was hitting my foot with her foot. Unconsciously, or sometimes even joking, like, hey, come on, and then hitting me like when you are laughing and joking.
Yeah.
But from an Indian conditioning, if you touch somebody with your leg, it is disrespectful.
Okay.
So from an Indian conditioning, you touch anybody with your foot, immediately you apologize, or you say sorry in some form, and then you recognize it, because this is ingrained in us as culturally, and this is the form of kind of respect that we show towards the other person. And the deeper meaning there is like, I'm God, you are God, so when I kick you, like I'm kind of kicking God, so you are sacred in that sense. So this is the understanding that goes behind that cultural conditioning.
That's your cultural conditioning, yeah.
Yes. So as I was sitting there and we were all having a good time, a part of me was coming up and then like, why is she kicking me? Why is she touching me? Why is she not aware of that? So this one is coming up, and I was it
was building up in you, right?
Yes, a part of me was fighting with her unconsciously with that situation. But when I look at her face, there was no inclination. There is no idea about it.
Yeah.
She was just living her life, and she was being
playful.
She is playing normal. There were other people. We are all sitting in a group. And I saw myself this conditioning coming up. And then this conditioning is telling like, this is disrespect, Rajesh. Just like an alarm bell ringing in my head. Now, this alarm bell is completely mine. And if I ask her like, stop kicking me, she would say sorry, and maybe she would stop. But then, that is not the end of the story. Because I can ask her to stop, it's okay. But then the next time somebody else does it, again this alarm bell is going to flare up in me. So I'm not actually becoming free myself. I'm only stopping the object that is causing it.
Right, you are still in the prison.
I'm still in my own prison. So acceptance here is how my cultural conditioning is controlling me when I become aware of it, and I am struggling to connect with the reality in front of me in terms of my conditioning.
Yes.
So when I accept my conditioning is mine and has nothing to do with this situation, and it is my individual conditioning there, when I recognize it, the conflict with that situation drops.
Yes, I got it.
So whether she continues to hit me with her leg, or whether she apologizes at some point, it doesn't make much difference anymore. Or I can even tell her like, this is making me a bit uncomfortable or so. But again, I will not be coming up from a place of resistance, but from a place where I have greater awareness to handle the situation.
Yeah, or you can tell her, it's funny, I'm struggling because in India it's like this and that, and I know that you are doing it from a playful place.
Yes.
And then it's a different note. It's not, you are not irritated, frustrated. You understand that it's your conditioning.
Yes.
And you need to solve this.
Exactly.
It's not about the other person. So
it's not about the other person. See, if you look at the struggles that we have, we fight so many things around us and inside us. The world also continuously keeps telling us what and how you should be. And we are fighting with the real us, comparing ourselves constantly to the so-called standard that we are supposed to achieve or be. This is a huge conflict in many people where they go into this phase, I'm not good enough. And I'm not good enough comes not because they are not good enough, because of the narrative itself. The narrative is the problem.
The story is the problem.
The story is the problem.
Yeah.
And the story is so strong because either they've been told this is where you are and this is how you are supposed to be. And also they buy into it. And then they have a habit again of punishing themselves, being cross and harsh with themselves. So all of these things, without realizing how much struggle I am actually going through. Here, there is a caution here. I'm not saying like, okay, you can be anything and you can be, you have all the freedom in the world to be whatever you want and all that stuff. I don't buy into that theory. Internally, you can be whatever you want in your head. But in real life, we have limitations of what we can be and what we can do because we are not complete individuals. We belong to societies, we belong to different structures and everything. If we are complete individuals where my action doesn't affect anybody and anything, then we have utmost freedom. But in reality, we are all so interconnected that my actions in one form or another and affects other people. So it should not be seen as like, oh, acceptance is like, I am just like this, whether you like it or not,
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah, I got it. Rajesh, what's the difference between self-acceptance and self-love? Is there any difference?
It is pretty similar in a way, because when there is acceptance, there is automatically a sense of love and kindness towards oneself. So, again, self-love is freshly termed, coined word in the recent years. I don't know. But it is like, again, there is a misconception around it. Like, it is like, I'm so nice to myself. And when people do something that is helpful for themselves, like, pampering themselves in whatever form and way, they think it's all about self-love. I would say no. That is treating yourself with goodness, with something nice.
Okay.
But acceptance is the lack of or the end of conflict within and without. That is inside and outside.
So acceptance is the end of self-judgment.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's judgment.
Yes.
And okay, that I understand. And speaking about self-love, because I have this debate with myself. When I'm getting very philosophical with me, it's like, okay, I should have loved myself more. What came across in my case is that, that there are 5 love languages.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe somebody loves themselves by pampering themselves, getting good clothes, getting healthy food, going to the gym. Some others are, into the the cuddling, self-cuddling and self-hugging and, taking a warm bath and so on. Others are in terms of self-acceptance, like waking up every morning, looking in a mirror and say, hello, I'm cool, I'm good, I look amazing, and really meaning it. So self-love has also, I guess, many colors.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
There is no one way that people can love themselves.
Yes. These are expressions of love directed towards oneself.
Exactly.
Yes. Acceptance is much more a passive state. When we speak about self-love, it could be an expression like that. Acceptance is more like, it's not an addition, it's more like a falling off. If the conflict fell off, so I'm at peace.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, nice. So acceptance is about... I have a story that I learned in Positive Intelligence from Shirzad Shamin. It's the story with the stallion. There is a father and a son living in a village. The father had many horses, okay, and one son. The son fell off from one of the horses and broke his leg. Mm-hmm. And the entire village came and said, oh, poor you. You have one son, and look, now he cannot help you anymore because his leg is broken. The father said, good thing, bad thing, I don't know. Okay, then The boy got better and he started to help his father. The entire village came and said, "Oh my God, you are so lucky. Your son is here and is helping you." The father said, "Good thing, bad thing, I don't know." Then the war came and he took their son, and oh my God, they took your son. And he said, like, good thing, bad thing, I don't know. So he was sort of in equanimity, in neutrality, speaking of the level of consciousness, in acceptance, I would say. He was not judging, right? So this is acceptance. It's like, I broke my arm. Is it good or is it bad? I don't know. I just broke my arm, right?
Yes. Yes.
You are not judging. It's a non-judgmental state where you are not doing something.
Yes, see, acceptance is also not a no action space, because I agree with your example, because this person, in this parable or in this story, is having a sense of equanimity towards whatever is happening and not falling into immediate judgment of the situation as it is. Like breaking your arm is painful, but when there is acceptance of breaking your arm, you're of course going to help the arm to heal. You're going to take care of it. You're going to be kind. You're going to be all of that. But you will not be fighting with that arm all the time. Like, why did this happen to me? It should not have happened to me. I should have been careful, and why was I like this? So the conflict around that fact is what is troubling us. So acceptance is very simple, acknowledging a fact as such.
Okay.
I have a negative thought right now. I say like, yes, I have a negative thought right now.
Okay.
I have a negative thought for the last 1 hour. I have a negative thought for the last 1 hour.
I'm not labeling it as, oh my God, I'm a bad person. How can I think this? How?
Yes, that struggle.
It's acceptance and say, it's okay. We all have negative thoughts, right? And that would be...
You see, that would be a bit more... this is a bit subtle here. So we say, of course, we all have negative thoughts. That is like validating or rationalizing that thought. I'm saying...
That's shared humanity.
I'm saying right now, this is what is going on through me. Right now, this is what is going on in me or for me. And this is what I'm seeing. And I check if I'm fighting with it. If I'm fighting with it, I recognize how it is useless to fight with it, because whatever is moving, it's already happening. Someday you're going to heal this one. Someday the thought is going to move, or in a minute it moves, in a second it moves, and then it takes different colors. So that is why watching the struggle is more important, because when people try to accept it consciously, then they accept it like, okay, I take a picture of this and I accept this picture. What if it changes in 5 minutes and becomes something different? So that's why the acceptance is an inner state, a passive experience of a struggle or a conflict falling off, rather than a conscious outside, like, big declaration or anything.
Okay. It's non-active. That's very interesting. It's non-active. It's I'm in a negative state of mind, and I just sense that when I'm saying that everybody goes through this, it's sort of an excuse. It is shared humanity, but it's again explanation. It's I'm talking now at the microphone. Is it good or is it bad? I'm talking.
Yes.
That's it. It's an act. It's
yes.
a fact.
And sometimes we end up talking something out of place. And then we recognize that. Then it may send a sliver of pain or a conflict or something through us. And then we recognize that. When you recognize, like, yes, I just misspoke something. Oh,
okay.
I misspoke. So if I say I misspoke, that is acceptance.
Okay.
If I say, like, okay, I misspoke. But if I go, why did I misspeak? I should not have done this. I should be. And then the conflict around it, So acceptance is more about staying and observing and recognizing whatever is flowing through you as such,
Without changing the nature of it. Or should and shouldn'ts.
Yes, see, the thoughts will be flowing anyway. One thought would say, like, this should not be there. The other thought would say, like, See, what is conflict? Conflict is many parts of you or personalities or thoughts of you coming up, and then they are having a conversation. And sometimes the conversation becomes a shouting match. Sometimes it becomes a war. But basically, different parts of ourselves coming up and throwing different opinions and judgments and viewpoints and everything together. So that is what is a conflict. So we should say, oh, there should be no judgmental words there. Like then there is no conversation happening or there is no conflict. So observation is to watch these judgmental thoughts coming up. They will come up. When we make a mistake, obviously we will be feeling a bit regretful, maybe a bit guilty, maybe a bit cross, and all of those. So the whole process would get triggered, and then the whole process would move. In that whole process, observing that whole process that is moving through us, we recognize, I'm in conflict right now. And then I'm saying I should not have said this, I should not have done this. And then, but the truth is, this happened. This happened. Okay, this happened. This is happening. And then, okay, that happened and now the conflict is happening. Okay, so I'm watching the first event, then the conflict around the event, and I am in that observation.
You are the observer.
When we are observing that, the conflict falls off. I don't have to make a statement even to myself that I accept it. When I see the conflict, when I see the whole thing happening, then the conflict falls off. Then when conflict falls off, it is usually replaced with a sense of peace or a sense of joy or a sense of energy that comes out. Because the energy that was blocked or locked up in that
By
conflict,
the resistance.
in that resistance, it falls off.
Okay, and because we are approaching the end of this episode, is there something else that you would like to share? And I didn't ask you; it didn't came up regarding acceptance and the myths about acceptance.
See, we should start acceptance. If you want to go in the journey, the first step is always about recognizing the immense amount of conflict that we go through. If you pay attention to oneself, we'll find so much that we are fighting about, as you said rightly, the shoulds and should nots, must and must nots, and all of that. So what I would ask anybody, watching here and being here is, start with that first step. Recognize the conflict that is happening. Recognize how it is so tiresome. Often we believe the solution is in changing whatever we don't like. Then if we go in that path of changing whatever we don't like, it ends up in a huge part where the rest of our life we are always in some kind of therapy to change something. Either we change things externally all the time, people, we change relationships, keep them moving, we change, things around us all the time, or we are trying to do some therapy upon ourselves because I don't like that one quality, I don't like this one trauma, I don't like that thinking process. Then, see, life is to be lived. It is not to be in some kind of therapy and then telling ourselves like it's a life of learning. No, that is like, keeping on fixing the whole stuff. I'm not against therapy. I'm not saying like, we should not work on ourselves. But that should not become the whole consuming part of life. Those are tweaks and things that we need to address where things are causing us a lot of suffering.
Yeah.
But acceptance is when you zoom out, when you see that whole struggle is the bigger problem than whatever we are, because whatever we are is much bigger, much wider. We are so many things. We are so many things. Each one is a loving person. Each one has compassion. Each one has some great qualities. And we also have all these confusions. We also have all these conflicts. So each one has multifaceted personalities within themselves. So what happens is in this fight, we are constantly focusing on what is not right, what is wrong, and then going on fixing that part. And then we miss out on all the other areas and with a holistic view about life. So that is why starting this starting with recognition of our struggle with oneself or without oneself, and then opening it up, see how it is a burden, and then seeing how I am a product of life and the other one is also a product of life flowed through them in different forms and ways. When we go into that place, the constant idea of fixing and changing would reduce, and that is a huge relief, and that opens up for a lot of joy, lot of peace, lot of engaging with life from a different place. And that's what I would want for everyone else.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your views on acceptance. So, thank you very much for following us on this episode on acceptance. Please do not forget to subscribe to Mindfulness and Beyond, and for the international audience, and subscribe please to the Romanian podcast Întrebări care ne schimbă viața. We truly hope, me and Rajesh, that this episode on acceptance will help you more on your journey of being more fulfilled. Stay tuned and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.